Hey everybody, I'm getting up from I've had like a lot of calls today, but I got my nails done. See? Okay, so I want to talk about, this is a topic that I've had I've had so many conversations about this today, yesterday, the past couple of weeks. It's been insane. And there are other coaches that talk about this quite a bit. Hey guys. Hi everybody. Okay, so trying to decide if I want to sit down or stand up or whatnot. Hey Ann, I'm going to turn that light on. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about intimacy and what it actually means and how it might be fucking with your money. Because I've talked about relationships and romantic relationships and how it relates to money, and I've talked about how sex relates to money, and I've talked about all this different stuff. And over the past week, I've had some revelations because of a really amazing high-level client that I adore, who helped me to see some things about intimacy and relationships that I think I want you guys to think about. And I thought about it on a deeper level because when I was changing a lot in terms of relating to men and relationships and actually allowing myself to be in a relationship with a man, one of my biggest fears, hey everybody who's hopping on, one of my biggest fears was him being clingy. One of my biggest fears was constantly having somebody wanting to take care of me and wanting to be there for me and wanting to want me and wanting to, love on me and wanting to just be there for me and wanting just to lather me with everything and to just kind of be clingy and all up in, eh. And when I thought about that, when I was listening to her talk about, intimacy, because we started talking about that, I thought, how the fuck can we, because I was already kind of thinking about this ahead of time, because I was like, what would it be like to have just hundreds of thousands of dollars coming in every fucking day with no effort whatsoever? It would feel like money would just be lathering me all the fucking time. And I was trying to figure out my resistance to it. And then I realized that this resistance comes from a fear of being super, super gripped on by money, because we're super scared of getting that close to other people. So we're probably that scared of getting that close to money. So what do you do about this situation? What do you do about this situation? Well, let's think about it. So if you're scared of being, and I wouldn't even say scared, if the idea of being super close, of having someone constantly be there for you, constantly giving you whatever you want, whenever you want, however much you want, and is there for you all the time, shows up exactly the way you want it to, whenever the hell you want it to, however you want it to, do you really want that? Do you really want that? Ow. Do you really want that? How can you change the way that you feel about that? Because most likely a lot of you guys have issues with the way that that feels. A lot of us do. I know a lot of women are like, ugh, I don't know if I want that. I don't know if I want that. I don't know if I want that. Well, probably you don't want the same thing with money, because why would you not, it's that same energy. Because if you were to have money constantly show up for you, constantly be there for you, and if you think about the word intimacy, I've asked girls who've been on the calls with me over the past couple of days, what's your definition of intimacy? And then one girl said, it's a deep, deep trust. Another girl said, it's reliable and dependable. So if you have money that's reliable and dependable, and there's a deep, deep trust, and there's a deep, deep closeness, then if you feel weird about connecting to another person on a deep, deep level, on a very intimate level, not just sexually, but emotionally, if you're scared of being vulnerable with people, if you're scared of allowing people to see you and to feel you and to know you on a very deep emotional, psychological, mental, emotional, spiritual level, then you're probably scared of being that intimately involved with money. And you don't become super successful and great around making money if you can't be intimate with it. Anybody? I'm curious why nobody's saying anything. Because this is like some deep shit. Seriously deep shit. Nobody's saying anything? Curious what people think of this. Nope. Nobody's saying anything? I'm shocked. So let me look at this. Like, okay. So if you're, let me sit down. So, victimhood. I was about to say victimhood. So, I don't want the light. Make sure that I turn it this way. Okay. So, intimacy. If you're somebody, like, and I want you to think about, you may be married, you may be in a very close relationship with your partner. What is it like to be intimate with someone? And not even necessarily in a sexual way. What is it like to be in an intimate relationship with something? What does that feel like? What does it feel like? And if you are in a relationship with someone, hey Ashley, if you are in a relationship with someone and it's an intimate relationship, how many other relationships do you have that you don't feel you don't feel safe to be intimate with? So like when you look at these things, how do you actually deal with it? Because I'm trying to think of examples from my perspective. It's, for me with intimacy, it was scary as fuck to let somebody know how I felt, to let somebody know what I needed, to let someone be there for me, because it was like, I'm not used to having anybody be there for me. So it's like really uncomfortable and really awkward and really weird. And I just feel like I'm totally in victim mode and I'm going to have to have someone rescue me. And that just feels fucking awkward and weird and fucked up. Now, if you feel that way towards anything that can be deeply connected to you, deeply involved with you, deeply there for you, what the fuck do you think is going to happen with money? Like, let's think about it, okay? And then there's, and I know I'm not the only one who has felt this way. Like, hello, I know I'm not the only one. You guys should, be commenting your asses off here. I'm going to do it like this. What's another way to look at it? Okay, so intimacy with not necessarily your romantic partner. I want to try to keep this off of sex stuff because everybody thinks intimacy. And I want you to ask yourselves, do you immediately think of intimacy, sex? Do you immediately relate it to sex? And, emotional intimacy. Like if you're intimate with, people immediately think it's sex, but having an intimate relationship with your coach. An intimate relationship with your coach would look like what? You're totally trusting. There's not a doubt in your mind. Watch this. There is not a doubt in your mind that you can fully trust this coach to have your back, to support you, to astound you with giving you their all. You have no doubts whatsoever of their ability to be reliable. You have no doubts. Pay attention. You have no doubts about them being reliable and showing up for you in the way that you need them to. None. I want you to think about how that is very similar to money. You have zero doubts that it will show up for you, that it will be there for you, and that it will give you exactly what you need and it will hold that container for you. Now, if you look at it, you're like, well, I totally trust my coach. Okay, well, do you, or are there, there's probably pieces of you that are still about it. But even your coach, if you think about it, about how you trust your coach compared to how you trust money, it's a completely different thing, I'm guessing, for a lot of you guys. Because fully trusting, intimacy involves trust. So if you're fully trusting, and you have, and trust is, you have no doubts whatsoever that it will be there for you, that it knows you, that it knows what you need, that it knows what you want, that it is providing that for you. That's intimacy. Owns how it's there for you. And if it doesn't, then you feel like your heart's broken. So it's better to keep the distance. If you create that kind of relationship with money, it doesn't necessarily mean you're being intimate with money, but if you have total trust, like our ideal relationship with money, let's just be totally clear. And if you are somebody who's like, no, I want to make this amount of money and I don't want to focus on my relationship to money, well, honey, you're fucking yourself in your ass and you need to stop that shit. Meet it with love. But one of the best things I did for my business that people they don't get is that my goal in my first year of business was not to have a 6-figure business. My goal in my first year of business was to wire my subconscious to constantly be increasing my income, to constantly be comfortable having $30, $40, $50, $60, $70,000 cash months and continuing to have the increase. So in other words, my subconscious, which drives 99.9% of my reality, was literally wired to do so. So literally, things just started moving very fast for me in my successful business because of that. Versus, I want to have a 6-figure year, and what happens after that? So in other words, you can say, I want to make this amount of money, but how is your relationship with money? Is it actually good? Are you making all that money, but you're scared shitless about how you're going to make it, or if it's going to come, or if you can trust that it's going to come? Are you constantly like, how is it going to fuck me over? Is it going to actually come in? How do I know that it can come in? What do I do here? What do I do here? Constantly being on guard about making that money. And then like, oh, fuck, now I have to deal with money again. How do I deal with your life's probably a fucking like exhausting disaster if you feel that way about your relationship with money. And it would make a lot of sense if you have those issues with intimacy and your other relationships. So, does anybody have any comments? I'm shocked that nobody has comments on this. Totally shocked. Totally shocked. You guys have no comments. I know what's going on. Your mouths are fucking dropping open. Okay, so intimacy, let's look at it. I'm going to actually I've looked up this definition like 6 times over the past couple of days. More than that, actually. Intimacy. The definition. Close familiarity or friendship, closeness. A private, cozy atmosphere, an intimate acts, especially sexual intercourse. Close familiarity or friendship, closeness. Close familiarity or friendship or closeness. Emotional closeness. 5 stages of intimacy in relationships. I'm just looking this stuff up. Infatuation. What I would be doing right now, what I'm going to actually start doing is start studying intimacy on a deep fucking level. Because if you're intimate, if you truly deeply trust money to show up how it's supposed to show up in the way that you want it to, in the way that you need it to, and actually, if you think about it, it is showing up the way that you want it to and the way that you need it to, because if you don't want to be intimate with it, it's showing up exactly the way that you want it to right now. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Anybody? Okay. All right. That's pretty much it. I saw Amanda's comment. But like, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Trusting has just been so key in trusting and doubting. Because if you're in a state of doubt that your relationship to money is like fickle and it's not going to show up for you and it's not going to provide you with what you need, what the fuck's going to manifest? Mean it with love. What the fuck's going to manifest? You're going to constantly be on guard. You're going to constantly wonder if it's going to show up the way that you need it to show up versus having it show up the way that you want it to. But also, if you think about it, how do you feel in regards to your relationship with your partner and your relationship to other people, especially sexual partners? Are you thinking, is he actually providing what I want? Is she actually providing what I want? Is she going to know what I need? Does she know how I feel? Does she actually take what I tell her or what I tell him and actually do something about it? Do they actually really like know how to give me what I need or what I want? And if they do, am I like pushing that away? How many times have we pushed money away without even knowing it? I can't tell you how many women I've seen push men away because they're afraid of the intimacy. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, guys. Let me know your thoughts if you have any. And don't forget, my money boot camp starts January 30th. And I think I'm going to put in some more of this shit in the fucking money boot camp. Because I was actually thinking about doing a relationship course. But this is really pivotal stuff because I'm seeing the relationships with money and the relationships with men is so interesting that like, it's just so interesting because the way that we relate to our father and the way that, you know, the masculine energy and how that connects to the way that we make money is also connected to the, like our father is, you know, a symbolism of how we, you know, attract our current partner or the men that we've dated or the, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's really interesting that intimacy, how you think about having somebody constantly being there for you, constantly showing you the love that you want, being there for you, holding space for you, giving you absolutely everything that you want, whenever the hell you want it, however much you want it, always being there for you. If you need anything, it's just like click, boom, it's done. How many of us are in resistance to that? I know there's a lot of women. There's a lot of fucking women that feel this way. We know that there are a lot of men that feel this way. So it's kind of like, if you really want money to show up consistently, easily, whenever the hell you want, however the fuck you want, on demand. Well, if you've got that kind of like, I don't want to deal with this, something that's going to like be there for me constantly doing whatever the hell I want, that needs to shift. Needs to shift. Lots of love. Gotta go. Mwah. Bye. Oh yeah, Money Boot Camp. I'll put the fucking deets in the comments. Okay, bye.